That Coach Credit Counseling Service. It's Tuesday and it's time to learn a new subject about the finance world. Today we're going to learn about auto loans. Auto loans is so exciting because everybody out there needs transportation. You can also make a good living with an auto loan. You can actually do Uber nowadays. There's Lyft. There's all kinds of different things you can make money with your car nowadays. So, you want to make sure you get the right car and you want to get the right situation. But we're going to talk about auto lending so we make sure we're all on the same page when we're dealing with autos. Now, to start it off, I'm going to start off by saying that your credit score and your interest rate are hand in hand when it comes to an auto loan. Very important to understand it, and it has a lot to do with what kind of car you buy, when you want to buy it, and what you want to do. So let's start at the top. Let's say you have a 720 credit score and up. Well, now you got a 720 credit score and up. You might qualify for some of these new programs for new cars, which is the 0% interest. And in case you're wondering, yes, I think that's a great deal. We'll go over that here in a minute. But when you're above 720, you got the lowest interest rates possible. New cars, you can probably get at 0. They're going to change soon, but right now they're at 0. And your regular used cars are right around 4%. Those are outstanding interest rates for an auto loan. It's something that I highly recommend. Your credit union is probably giving you the best rate, so you always want to look there. But it gives you kind of an idea that, hey, if you're in the market and you got a great credit score, you got some choices out there. So let's start with the 720 choices and let's start with the 720 situation. One of them is buying a car. Buying a brand new car at 0% interest makes sense. When it has an interest rate, it don't. And let me explain why. If you buy a car at 0% interest rate, you don't have the interest growing your balance. So you're basically paying off exactly what you bought the car for. That's fine. You could take the little depreciation hit by driving off the lot because you could catch up with your value a lot faster without that interest rate being part of the plan. Just watch out for buying all the extras and stuff that makes you have to pay down before you get to your situation. But that's a whole different ballgame. That's between you and your car. But, back to the loan, you got to watch out for certain things when you're doing this. Sometimes 0% is only for 60 months and it's 5% if you go to 84. If that's the case, you don't want to buy a new car. You want to get a used car about 2 years old. So that way, whoever had it before you takes all the depreciational hits and all the pain and everything out of that situation. So, you want to pass the buck if that situation there and buy a used car and save yourself some money. Now we're still over 720. Another option to buy a car over 720 is a lease option to buy a car. I'm not a big fan of leases. I'll be the first person to tell you. My daughter just got one. It gave me just goosebumps up my spine, but I'm just not a big fan of leases, and the reason is you just don't own the car. They take a portion of the car, usually 20, 30, 40% of the car, and that's what they finance over the next 3 years, and that's what your payment's based off of. So let's take her situation, for example. No, let's don't, because hers actually was pretty good. Let's take a wrong one. They're offering, you can see this on every ad there are. So every time you see a car loan, they're offering a lease price. That's the payment you're going to see on TV. They don't show you a purchase price. They show you a lease price. And if you see a lease price for $199 on a new car, there's got to be something wrong with that. And so the most important thing about it is to find out exactly what portion of the car you're financing for your lease. If it's less than 30%, don't do it. Let's explain why. Most leases are based on 20%. That's where you get that really low payment. You drive it off the lot, your car depreciates at that point. Now, when your term is up on your lease, depends on how far it depreciates. Take a standard 3-year lease, the car depreciates about 40% over 3 years. Now, you only finance 20%. So let's say you get ready to buy the car, you're 20% upside down. Now, you can lease another one, they'll roll that in. You can buy another one, they'll roll that in. Or you can walk away. And that's the only way you can never get out from underneath being upside down is to walk away and start again. So you can clearly see where I don't believe in a lease. Now, if they're leasing 40% of the car, then at the end of the term of the lease, there's a good chance your value and depreciated value and what you owe is around the same thing or close to it. Then you can purchase the car and go forward. That to me is an actual standard good lease that helps you buy the car in the future. But those are very rare and you got to watch out for. So remember, don't finance anything less than 40% of the price value on a lease, or otherwise you're going to be upside down when the term is done. And that's if you don't screw up by driving over miles or wrecking the car or having dings in it or anything like that. Because remember, this is all appreciated based on the car never leaving the road. The value is based on the car never leaving the road. And it's going to drive, and it's going to be out there. So you got to maintain it, and every little ding and every little thing happens, you got to be prepared to pay for it. So I don't know how to stress this enough, but stay about as far away from a lease as you humanly possibly can. Well, that covers about the 720s. Let's drop to 680 to 720. Okay, you're not really in that perfect range where you can get the 0%, but you can get some decent interest rates from there. Some car lots might be at 2 or might be at 3. To me, if it's anything above 5 or 5 and up, no new cars. It's all used. But 3%, you can manage that. But you want to make sure you take a look at the situation. I'll always recommend at this point looking at a used car because you can really save yourself a lot of money on the overhaul. But if you're at 680 and you want a new car, it's not that bad. You can get a rate under 5%. I would consider doing it. I would stay again far away from a lease. Now you would go to the 620 to 680. Now this is the last and the end of the tail end of the bank financing. And now you're dealing with most likely a used car, because most banks don't do new cars under 680. They don't really have the program for it. If they do, they're going to give you an interest rate that I'm trying to talk you out of, around the 5 to 6% range. I'm trying to keep you clear from that so you don't have that as your issue. That's very important to understand. So what we want to do at this point is probably look for a used car, 2 years old, and make the payments on time. Reestablish the credit rating to where it gets above 720 again, and then maybe look at that situation again. And that's about all you can do. It's really tough when you're at 620. But you're not buy here, pay here yet. 619, welcome to buy here, pay here. All the way down to 500. This is where the whole industry changes. Buy here, pay here. You have two choices. You can pay the car lot, a weekly payment for your car, which you're going to wind up paying $400 to $500 more than a car is worth, guaranteed. Or you can go to a finance company and get an interest rate of 29.9%, and then you just pay a lot of interest on the car. Either way, you're still not in a really good situation, but if you have bad credit and you need a car, you really don't have choices. So in this case, I do recommend the finance company over the buy here, pay here. Let me explain why. If you go to the finance company, you get a cash price in the buy here, pay here car. We just did this for a client of ours. So we went and got the cash price. Instead of the car being 13 grand, we got it for 9.7. And we went ahead and I paid it with cash, solved the entire issue on that whole thing. But he's at a finance company, which is a high interest rate, so he's trying to speed the payments up to pay the interest off faster so he can get out of it. But he's also establishing credit. So that's helping him build credit for the future. Buy here, pay here's do not report to credit reporting agencies. So you're not establishing any credit. You're not kidding anybody. The only time they report is when you don't pay. And that's when they repo, and then you got to deal with the negative aspects of it, and then you got credit issues. And let's try to avoid this. So in the future, if you're ever thinking about buying a car, and the first thing we want to do is check our credit. We want to see what our credit score is, because that's going to determine what rates and what we can buy. Once we know where our credit score is, we know exactly what we're looking at. We've already talked 720 up, looking at new, 680 to 720, new to used, 720 or 620 to 680, definitely used, and under that, finance company, avoid the buy here, pay here. That is the wonderful industry of auto lending. It is so exciting. Now, the one thing you got to keep out on is they add stuff to your loan when you're sitting in front of the F&I guy. Yeah, you don't need it. You don't need it. You don't need it. I can't stress this enough. You don't need extended warranties. You don't need bras on the cars. You don't need all the different protectional things that are out there. You don't need it. You don't need it. You don't need it. And if you do want it, at least pay for it. Don't finance luxuries, because all you're doing is paying an interest rate for something, unless it's 0%, you're paying an interest rate of something for no apparent reason. So, make sure that you do the deal right. You get the best parts of the deal. You negotiate the deal so you get the best price. This is where, if you're under 620, you want to use a finance company. So you can use a cash price and save yourself some money. But all this is predicated to helping you, drive. So you got to keep this in the back of your mind that your car is just that. It's transportation to get you from point A to point B and back. It's not a luxury statement to drive down the road to show everybody how cool you are. Let those people enjoy those cars. Let them have their $600 car payments. Let them struggle with their life, because I promise you, I've bailed several of them out here as a debt coach, because you get overshot and you overshoot yourself when it comes to buying a car. You need to take some time and study them. Study Carfax, study consumer reports, find out what car is going to give you the best price by purchase, by maintenance over the next 5 years. You'd be shocked at what kind of cars are out there that do that to give you a better deal than anything. My Toyota is one of the reasons why I buy a Toyota is because I'm not worried about it. It's serviced for 3 years and it's going to depreciate just exactly the way I want it. And I'm dealing with a car that I know has a long history. So, I didn't go get the Dodge. Unfortunately, it's not having a very good history with their new motors with the 200. So you got to do the investigational part. You need to do the due diligent work out there. And the one thing you have in your corner is me. You always have me. So if you're in the market for buying a car and you got questions and you want to make sure you want some facts and you don't want some salesman telling you how it is, all you got to do is pick that phone up and call 888-767-9155 and I'll help you. Free service. Doesn't cost you a dime. My advice is always free. Be more than happy to give you free advice and try to bail you out later when you made a mistake. So please trust me. If you're not sure about what you're doing, pick the phone up. I'm not a salesman. I have zero to gain from you buying a car. I'm the perfect person to talk to. Mr. Salesman's the last person. Mr. Manager, by far the last, and the F&I guy gets paid for how he gets things closed. Don't go that route. Come see me. If you have questions and you don't want to call me, my name is Randy, R-A-N-D-Y, at adebtcoach.org. I know it's in reverse and live, but it is adebtcoach.org. Just go ahead and shot me an email. I'll be more than happy to answer the questions for you. And we'll find the right deal for you. We'll make sure you do the right thing. This is not a service that any other credit counseling service offers. It's just me trying to make sure you don't get taken to the cleaners by trying to buy something you like the most and you need the most. The Debt Coach Credit Counseling Service really cares about us and cares about you. So make sure before you make that next step, if you're unsure, just give me a call. It's free. Let's find out the facts. And that way you're educated when you go in to make your next deal. And you probably wind up with a better deal. Thank you for watching a Debt Coach Credit Counseling Service on how to buy an auto loan. I hope you have a blessed day, and I'll see you next week.